All right, what up, everyone? We are live. NFL Fantasy Today Show. I'm your host, John Mosales, or John Mosales. I got Patrick Leary here, Sport Ethos Production, and it's fantasy football season. We're ramping up. Mock drafts are filling up quickly. Patrick, what's shaking?
Not much. I got a couple of drafts going. I'm in my final rookie draft right now, about to wrap it up. Been mocking quite a bit, doing some best ball when I get some time. Yeah, got a lot of balls in the
All
air.
right. Okay, nice. Let's talk to your rookie draft because I did one kind of too. What pick did you have, and how did it go?
Yeah, oh man, so well. I had the 10th pick. I had the 10th pick in a one quarterback, and not much draft capital besides that.
Okay.
And for some reason, the way the board just shook out, I was able to get Egbuka at 110. I was
Wow.
trying to like trade up constantly, basically throughout the whole time, couldn't pull anything off, and then finally just kind of sat there and had Egbuka fall to 10 in a one quarterback, which is to me is preposterous. I had him fall like pretty far in a super flex league earlier this summer, but yeah, Ibuka at 110 right now is crazy to me. He'd be sixth probably for me in one quarterback. So I was trying to go up like constantly, and then he just ended up falling, which is amazing.
So let's keep going in. So Gianti goes first, obviously,
Yeah,
and then Hampton.
Hampton was second, and then kind of maybe a little surprising, but not super surprising. Travion Henderson was third.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I don't know if that is kind of what triggered it, but then the guy at 4 decided to take Caleb Johnson. I don't know if he had, I'm trying to remember, I don't know if he had multiple picks or he was just like, oh my God, I got to get a running back. So he took Caleb Johnson. So that was super weird. And then so I'm sitting at 10 and Hunter and McMillan are still there at 5, and I like couldn't believe it. So that's when I start just like anybody I can try to like message, like, please let me move up because that's insane that these guys are still there.
Yeah. So I had one with Rick, right? It was super
Yeah.
flex. I took Tet second. Like, is
Yeah.
that?
I took Ted second in the super flex as well. Now
Oh.
I had Bryce Young on I had Bryce Young on that team, which
Yeah, me too.
helped as a tiebreaker. Um, I was trying to trade up to 2 for Hampton for a good amount of time. I had a huge running back need, and Hampton's been the buzz on him all summer has been great. And it's very clear that Najee Harris might not be able to see. So it's definitely been like a huge contributing factor for him. But yeah, Ted is I think a totally defensible 1-2 in basically any format. So he's there at 5. So I keep trying to trade up. It doesn't work. He goes 5. Then the 6th pick was actually RJ Harvey, which was pretty crazy.
With
Because
the
I think
RB5 stuff, right?
yeah, for sure. But I just think like everyone was like, oh my God, we got to get a running back, get a running back. Hunter went 7. And then the reason I was able to get Ibuka is because for some reason Judkins still went 8th, which to me is crazy. Judkins was not in consideration for me whatsoever. At 10, I would not have taken him until maybe like the middle of the second round, just because his situation is really unprecedented and one I'm trying to avoid like at all costs right now. And then Colson Dublin went 9th. And so I just was able to get a Emeka Egbuka 10th, and I could not believe it. And it was just like, all right, this is amazing.
So yeah, so one of the things we want to talk about difference between dynasty and redraft.
Yeah.
So let's just talk positionally. Is there much difference like running back versus wide receiver? Because obviously the shelf lives on running back are shorter.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting conversation now. Like a year ago, I would have told you that I 100% target wide receivers because of the shelf life. But then last year we had a massive running back renaissance in fantasy football, especially among running backs who would kind of be considered like dust ball dynasty assets. With Derrick Henry being the best example. Derrick Henry was like a 30-year-old running back last year. Now, obviously, he's an incredible outlier as a player, but running backs that are older than 28, their dynasty value is super, super difficult to pin down. But Joe Mixon was excellent last year as an older running back. Obviously, Saquon with the historic season that he had.
Yeah.
And so I think
was good. Jacobs was good.
yeah,
Jones
Jacobs
played all the
yeah.
games.
Yeah. So yeah, Aaron Jones is a great example. Yeah, because he was cut by his team at 28, and came back and had a great fantasy season last year. And so I think the debate has become more of a debate because I still like to target wide receivers. Like this team that I just got Ibuka on, my last 3 first-round picks were Drake London, Jordan Addison, and Ladd McConkey. And I feel amazing about the wide receiver room I've been able to build over the last 4 years. Running backs is a little riskier and a little less, a little more volatile inherently. Situation is always a huge factor. And if you somehow get a running back that just doesn't really pan out, that can be a really huge whiff, and is probably less prevalent with first round wide receivers. But I think I tend to target wide receivers just because you get a really nice shelf life. And I think you can do a lot easier of sort of long-term situational and performance projection, whereas running back changes so much year to year that I think it's kind of hard to value a guy like maybe RJ Harvey's like a really good example because he's about to walk into a really good Denver Broncos situation.
One of the best in the league, right?
Yeah, and one of the most open in the league too, which is I think a huge deal. Now, obviously, they brought Dobbins in shortly after the draft, but I think Sean Payton is legendary for his Alvin Kamara support in the fantasy community. So that's what people are seeing and latching onto with Harvey. But Harvey's also 24, and if Harvey isn't good in the first 9 weeks of the season, then the window for a second round running back who would be 25 in his second year, that really contracts really fast. And so I kind of just prefer to draft young.
Sorry, is there like a precedent for that? Is that based on anything?
Well, so if you just think about it, I actually, so something that you don't really factor in redraft that I think I tend to factor in Dynasty a lot is contract situations.
Oh, okay.
James Cook's a great example because I traded James Cook earlier this offseason because I did not think the Bills were going to sign James Cook to a contract extension, which they did today. And that's, I think, massively bullish for James Cook to be able to sit in that Bills situation for essentially his entire time as a Dynasty asset, right? Because at the end of that contract, he'll probably be 29-ish, depending on when they decide to cut him, if they let him play out the whole thing or.
So what did you get for Cook?
I got Caleb Johnson, which I feel okay about.
Wow. Jesus.
Yeah, it's a good swap. So I
meant the other way.
Oh yeah. So it was the 110 was the pick that I got, and I used it on Caleb Johnson because Harvey had gone, and he was the last of the running backs, the 6 running backs that was still on the board there at 10 when I did it in the summer. So Cook, I felt good. It's been it's a trade that's gone well for me basically until today. And now I feel, and also the Caleb Johnson buzz of the last week and a half has not been good.
I like Jaylen Warren a lot. So I've just,
see, I love Jaylen Warren in redraft this year. So yeah, but I think Caleb Johnson maybe long-term is better, but I was kind of assuming Cook would be a free agent because I was thinking his demands of the Bills would not be met. And now that they've been met, that's a less positive trade for me, I would say, because that's a great situation to just be locked into.
So let's say you tried to trade James Cook today and you had him. Well, how much different would the market be? Could you, let's stay with the rookie running backs? You couldn't get Hampton, right?
No, I think it would be around what it was when I did it because it swung positive for me for basically the 4 months since I did it. Because
that's all gone.
Yeah, I think it's probably mostly gone. I think it'd probably be about the same now because it was a minor loss for me when I did it, but I was kind of anticipating that it would be good for me quickly, and it became a little bit more major win for the 4 months. But now I bet it swings back because Cook is locked in. I do think Cook is kind of a fade for some people redraft this year because his touchdowns were so insane last year. And he's definitely a touchdown regression guy. But
True.
I think from a dynasty perspective, it's a huge win for Cook, obviously, to get that contract.
So this is what I don't really understand, right? So Caleb Johnson, rookie, sure.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh O-line's okay. But like James Cook was tied for the league in rushing touchdowns. It's a run-heavy team. He's got Allen. They've got one of the best O-lines in the league. They're a great team, so they're going to be up and running a lot. Like, you're going to get probably, 3 more elite seasons from Cook, and we don't even know. Caleb Johnson might not even be good. So I don't understand the disconnect between just youth.
I think the thing with Cook is that is he really that good, or did he just score an insane amount of touchdowns and never be able to score again last year? And that's where it's like kind of the middle ground, right? Like he's been a solid fantasy contributor, but his first 2 years, the rap on him was that he couldn't score touchdowns.
Sure.
And then last year it comes all the way around. And so the answer is probably now somewhere in between.
Sure, but he scored 2 seasons ago. He scored 16 last season. Even if he scores 10, 8 to 10, Caleb Johnson's not going to score 8 to 10 touchdowns this year.
No, I don't think so. It's definitely more of a long-term bet. And I think Warren, especially with how stuff has been unfolding and with Aaron Rodgers, I think Warren is going to be quite a focal point of that offense.
Yeah, so it's just I'm a little newer to Dynasty. I'm mostly a redraft guy. It's just weird to me the emphasis on youth, especially even when you're building a team. You know, you're not building your team for 5 years out, right? You're usually contending this season and trying to maybe contend the next season if you punt, right?
Yeah. So, it's a 2 to 3 year window is usually what the rule of thumb is for Dynasty conversation.
Yeah, so it's like Cook is right in the window, and it's just I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Like James Cook, now that he's signed, I honestly he's a top 5 running back to me. Yeah,
now that he's signed, I think the sentiment, it might take the sentiment a little bit while to adjust, but yeah, I mean it's a huge deal for him to sign there for sure. I mean, because if he'd just been a free agent and landed in any old running back situation, I just think he's regular enough of a player that I don't think that would have been an attractive asset for him at all if he didn't stay there. But now that he's like plugged into the Bills thing, they show him that faith. That's like a huge swing forward for him, obviously.
Yeah, and it's just the Bills have also like put an emphasis on running, right? I think they were top 5 in run pass splits, right? They don't really throw downfield, so they get in there. I mean, obviously Allen's going to run in a ton, but
yeah, that is a balance. But I also think like Ray Davis, to your point, Ray Davis is a really interesting like standalone player this year, even though obviously Cook will be the number 1 running back there and just got paid. I think Ray Davis even like as like a not even a handcuff. Like I think he's kind of like a super handcuff because I imagine he's going to get a lot of work. He looked great whenever he got a lot of opportunity last year.
Yeah, and that's why everyone thought they'd let Cook leave because like Ray Davis could probably give you 70% of what he does at a fraction of the cost, right? Yeah. So these super handcuff, I like that. So what are the other ones? Like I like Rico Dowdle in Carolina.
I mean, I think if you can with confidence predict whoever the Niners. And I guess that's the opposite, right? Is because like that's more of an injury situation, but like
traditional handcuff.
Yeah, that's much more of a traditional handcuff.
We got Charbonnet in Seattle.
Charbonnet is interesting because he would have been much more of a traditional handcuff in recent years with how the Seahawks have done. I think the Seahawks will be much more careful with Kenneth Walker this year. If you're looking at kind of how they've been managing him in practice lately, they've essentially like been treating a sore foot like a serious ankle injury or something, and just like totally limiting his practice reps. I think probably in an effort to just try to maximize his health situation. So Charbonnet is definitely one that could see quite a boost. I'm trying to think who of another like good example of that. I mean, I imagine the Rams are going to keep using Kyren Williams like a gigantic volume guy, so that's probably not a good example.
But he's just not explosive, right? McVay is only his loyalty to winning, right? He cut Cup. He had tried to trade Stafford. Like Kyren, I think his longest touchdown run was 13 yards. His longest run was 37 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, Blake Corum didn't look good, but the other new guy, is it Javier Vasquez?
Jarquez Hunter.
I was close. But if they just show a little bit of explosiveness, right? And Kyron's not really good receiving the ball, so I don't know. He seems like a guy who could get cut, and if he plays, he's going to be a top 10 running back because we've just
he got money a couple weeks ago.
He did get money,
so he'll probably be entrenched there. But yeah, I mean it's that kind of situation where the second they don't like give him 90% of the work, it becomes interesting because that's a really valuable backfield. Dowdle's a good call out, I think. Because he worked in that first preseason game. He got a good amount of reps in a complementary role. So I think that's definitely fascinating. And that offense should be better as well.
Okay, I want to go back to kind of the Dynasty redraft value.
Yeah.
So, like, let's Saquon. So, let's say in a full Dynasty draft, where's Saquon going? Is he like a third-round guy because of the age?
Are you saying one quarterback or super flex?
Good call. Yeah, one quarterback.
One quarterback. I would say Saquon is probably a second rounder.
Okay, second rounder. But yeah, so which rookie running backs are going ahead of him? Hampton, that makes sense.
Yeah. Genty, obviously, Genty and Hampton. I think,
but like Travion Henderson, like, are people doing that?
It's pretty close, I would say. And that would obviously be more of like a stylistic thing of like what you're trying to attempt. Because if you're like, okay, and it's hard to decide like right off the top, but if you're approaching it from like, I'm trying to put the best team I can together in this Dynasty draft right now, then I think
for the next 2 seasons, like,
I think Saquon still in front of Travion in that regard. But if it's more of a,
it just seems nuts to me. Like, Saquon just had one of the best running back seasons of all time. Yeah. Travion Henderson might not even be good. Yeah, like the delta is just too big for me. I can't wrap my head around it.
Travion Henderson looks amazing, though. I think that's part of it. Like, I mean, he had that kick return in the preseason game, and then anytime you're seeing these highlights of him as like a wide receiver in practice, like just going up and like mossing dudes like on Drake May throws, it's crazy. So I think he looks amazing. But yeah, I think the line is like kind of right there. The sort of Dynasty ranking line is like Saquon. It depends how far you want to slide down a guy who's 28 at the running back position. But yeah, I think it's definitely your mileage may vary. It's the kind of things I think Travion and Saquon, especially with kind of the hype that Travion has gotten over the last month or so. Travion and Saquon is like a very interesting, very balanced debate. I think it's like pretty even on either side.
So in the Superflex League I'm in with Rick, I have Saquon, but I'm probably not going to contend because I just picked up a team. And so there's a guy he has Gianti. He just got like all these great rookies. Scattaboo, he got Cam Ward. I think it was like 4 rookies that were all awesome. And I was like, I want all of them except for Gianti. And he hasn't responded back to me because I still don't really get, the core difference.
I'd say Saquon's a great sell if you don't think your team's very good. I think this is the perfect time to sell Saquon, would be literally the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Let's go. Let's just stay on these rookie running backs. So Jadon Blue, I took him second pick, second round. He got like terrible buzz about maybe a few weeks ago that he was lazy, but now he's kind of getting the first team reps. I think you just wrote an article. You said Miles Sanders is going to be the running back to own, which
that is interesting. That's a really interesting running back situation. So I'm very anti Javonte Williams, just in general. What I worry about with that backfield right now is Sanders and Blue are both dealing with injuries.
Okay, sure.
And so I don't know really what to make of it because you don't have like a running back that is much to write home about in the lead spot. And then you've got these 2 guys who might be able to make an impact if they're both injured. And then there's the rumors out there that the Cowboys are going to go look to maybe try to get somebody and bring them in. And so that's a real messy backfield. I think it's probably worth taking a shot. Miles Sanders, I liked a lot more before it came out that he was dealing with a knee injury. I just think he's probably a better running back than Javonte Williams. But if Javonte Williams is the guy that's there and is getting the reps, I think I probably would lean Javonte Williams. But if you want to go into the rest of the Cowboys, I mean, I think that passing offense is going to be they're going to throw so much and they're going to be in high scoring games probably. And I think that's going to be like an offense that's just a perfect thing to exploit with basically everything that they have that's draftable.
And then so the Micah Parsons news, they'll probably sign him. But like, is he the only maybe defensive player that would move the needle on offense? Because if they traded him, they're not going to get anything comparable. And I think their defense was like 28th last year, so it would be close to that again without Parsons.
Yeah.
So where do you have so Lamb? Where's Lamb for you? He's probably what, 26?
Yeah. Are you talking Dynasty?
Dynasty, yeah. We're saying Dynasty, yeah.
I have Lamb third. I don't I understand the sentiment of like guys that are not Lamb, Chase, and Jefferson potentially being better, like a Malik Neighbors who has had an amazing rookie season, or a Brian Thomas, similar argument. But I'm firmly Lamb third. I just think those guys are by far the most talented and productive wide receivers. And so
you think they're like that tier above in just talent than like Neighbors, Thomas, Nico's my guy. I think it's just a QB situation.
Yeah, I think well, Neighbors is interesting, right? Because Neighbors is injured again.
Yeah.
And he like was amazing last year, but then just had like 3 or 4 little hiccups where he would like miss time or it'd slow him down. And he's in that offense where it's like there's not a lot of margin for error, because that offense doesn't really produce much and doesn't project to produce anymore this year. I mean, I think Neighbors could easily walk into being the best receiver in the league this year, and then obviously he becomes number 1 in Dynasty. But I've just that top 3 that's going top 6 in redraft right now with the other 3 running backs are just like, I think in Dynasty I'm the same. I just think those guys they're in their prime, they're the top of the game, and I think Lamb really has the easiest volume case this year too. So I think that's the other thing is like,
well, him and Chase, right? Like it's hard to argue.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with Chase, but especially in comparison to like Jefferson, I think Lamb is just gonna get the ball all the time. Like I when I wrote about it in that article, I said like 200 targets is not a crazy thing. He had like 180 2 years ago when he was healthy with Dak, and I don't, they don't have anything. Pickens is going to be a great addition for them. He's like going to be a supercharged wide receiver 2 that they really need. But I mean, it's going to be Lamb's show there, and he's going to get the ball constantly.
Okay, I got a question, right? I'm going to get to it 1 second. So how does the age of the other positional players, like Dak's 32, that's fine probably, right? For worried about that. But like Puka with Stafford, if you're going after Puka in Dynasty and Stafford's 38 and already hurt, are you worried about the next couple of years? Not even just this year. If they have Jamie or they don't get a QB, muting their production. Whereas like a Nico, you got young CJ Stroud for 10 years.
Yeah. So I currently prefer. I didn't have this in my ranks when I published them a little while ago. I think prefer Nico to Puka. And it's what you said, because obviously the Stafford situation is very interesting. The Stafford shelf life is also very short, regardless of what happens with the current situation. I don't think he's expected to play more than like maybe another 2 years, including this upcoming year. Yeah. Who knows exactly? Yeah. But I mean, the stuff around this back situation is not promising. And yeah, I mean, I think though, obviously he plays for Sean McVay, so they'll probably figure something out. But I've just been really rising on Nico Collins throughout the season. I think I'm a big fan. I think he's just an absolute dynamo of a player. Like he just, when you watch him play, he just absolutely pops off the screen. He's unreal, and that team is set up to give him the ball. Like, I mean, that's the moon. I know Puka,
his target share is crazy.
Yeah, I know he gets the ball a lot too. Devontae Adams, I think, will definitely be a factor there this year. And I worry a little bit. Puka, Nico Collins, a little bit similar in this regard, but slightly better. Whereas you just look at Puka and it's like, okay, it's a guy that's had like an amazing rookie season, and when he was healthy last year was also amazing. But his kind of the peripherals of like what it took to get him there, where he was like a very late round pick. So he's a day 3 pick. He had that knee injury for a lot of last season.
Yeah, preseason into week 1. Yeah, and he got hurt.
Yeah, it was kind of nagging for him, and so, And he's not extended, obviously. Now, obviously, he's a slam dunk extension candidate if he has a great year this year, and he probably will have a great year. But I just feel more comfortable. Nico Collins has a huge extension in Houston, and Stroud is going to be his quarterback for a long time. So I like him a little better.
I gotta step away for 2 seconds. So you can read the question and then give me a quick answer, and I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh, Bijan London stack. I would say that if I would not avoid London just because you have Bijan on your team. I really think if there's one team that can credibly do the running back wide receiver stack with very little competition, it'd be Atlanta. London is by far the wide receiver one there. Bijan is an absolute amazing running back talent. Like, I respect for Tyler Algier, but those Bijan and London are going to be like massive volume players in that offense. So I wouldn't worry about that stack necessarily. I mean, the thing that I guess would be more of a concern is like if Michael Penix has injury issues, because he does have historic significant injury issues when he was in college. But I don't think Michael Penix is going to have any issues getting Bijan and London the ball. I would say it's the rest of that offense that I would be like not sure what to do with. But I would not worry about stacking those two because they're excellent.
Yeah, it says, would you draft London or pass and drop down in tier and recover to avoid that stack?
I mean,
3-keeper, 12-man PPR.
No, if it's PPR too, like London's going to get so much of the ball. I mean, I guess like it depends what dropping down a tier means. Like if it's a guy that I would consider to be in like a similar tier, but London's just he's excellent. He's like a super safe early second round pick for me right now. And
so I think you don't even think about it. If you can get Drake London, you just get him.
Yeah,
just do it, right?
Now, I don't prefer him to like Nico, like if Nico was in consideration, but I'm sure he's not. It's a key league. I'm sure somebody's got Nico much cheaper from like a legacy thing or something.
But yeah, if it was like AJ Brown, London easy for me, especially the bump that London got when Penix was in. Like everything went up. It was like 4 more targets. It was like
insane target volume. He's going to just throw him the ball so often, and really like Mooney's hurt. He'll probably be back and in the lineup, but it's going to be London
eventually. Did you see the blurb? Raheem Morris said he's going to play at some point in 2025.
Yeah, I did see that. That is bearish, I would say.
Yeah, that's.
I think we want guarantees for a little earlier than at some point.
Okay, so let's stay on this Dynasty redraft. So later in your draft, how does that affect how you're drafting? Are you taking?
Yeah.
Like more just like sure. Okay, what's a good comp here? Like
so like if you're saying like a guy who's a really interesting like a late round pick, like a Christian Kirk who goes like maybe in
perfect.
Like the 11th round or something.
This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. Yeah. So Kirk versus the 2 Jalens. They both played the same school, right? In Houston, the rookies. You're taking one of those guys over Kirk, right?
Oh, easily, yeah. Yeah. Oh, that is a great. I walked myself into that. I was like the 2 Jalens. I was like, oh, duh, they just drafted 2 rookies. Yeah, I would say, that's a great comparison because like Kirk, I think in a redraft league that doesn't have any sort of long-term considerations, Kirk would be a really interesting guy that you could maybe stick in your lineup early in the season, very cheaply. And get some good volume, especially in like a PPR league, because he'll probably play the slot, catch some balls. I also think, though, that obviously Higgins and Noel are much more interesting dynasty assets. Kirk's coming off of a knee injury. I think he's 29 now.
Is he really? Wow.
I'd have to look it up. Let's see. I have all. But
so yeah, Ryder says he almost traded Chase Brown for Nico, but the other guy backed out last minute. So that's interesting.
Man. Kirk is 28. Okay. I had Nico Collins on a taxi squad for 2 years, and I gave him away in a quarterback swap right before he broke out. So that was extremely painful for me, but I've made up for it by like taking him like whenever I can now because I just think he's undeniably awesome.
Yeah, I have him in that tier, like with the Lamb, Jefferson, Chase. I think he's maybe a slight talent downgrade, but I mean, the Stroud cube over McCarthy is huge. Obviously, Dak, Stroud's probably pretty close. Give Dak the edge, Burrow the edge, but
I did my
I've been arguing Neighbors versus Nico, and for me, just like Neighbors might be a little bit better, but the QB difference is just so massive. Like I'm not even thinking about it. I'm taking Nico.
I have Nico at 7 in redraft. I have Nico like it's that top 6, which is obvious. It's Chase, Lamb, Jefferson, and then Bijan, Saquon, and Gibbs, and I have Nico 7. I think he's 7.
Yeah, that's perfect. Oh man, Ryder, you're blowing us up here. Okay, he's got Chase Brown, can be kept for 2 years. He's Nico 11. Last year he can be kept, but yeah, I love Chase Brown. I'm actually writing up my guys, and Chase Brown's in there, right? I think he was the RB4 weeks like 9 to 17.
Yeah,
it's pass heavy offense. He's great dual threat. If you look at the top 5 running backs in fantasy points per game, I think 4 of them were in the top 5 for receiving, right?
Yep.
So, I love Chase Brown, but he's not quite in the Nico category. But that's a good one.
What's his ADP right now?
Chase Brown, I think he's like 35.
Yeah, he's was he like a mid-third now?
Yeah.
He's a guy I think who goes higher in best ball than he does in like redraft home leagues. He's an easy 3rd round pick for me.
28. He's 28.
28. Okay, so that's early 3rd. Yeah.
So that's another good comp. So let's say if Chase Brown and Nico were on the same level, you take Nico though, just because the longevity at wide receiver.
For sure, yeah. I have a new Dynasty team that I drafted like 3 months ago, and I have both of them on that team. And Nico was my 2nd round pick, and Chase Brown was my 5th round pick, I believe. Okay. So yeah.
So where's the line where you take the running back over Nico? So like Jonty, I'll never get it right. Genty versus Nico in Dynasty. You're taking Genty first?
That is a great question.
Okay, so it's close.
Yeah, I think I'd probably take Genty. Just because I think that's just like, even if it's not the most amazing situation for year 1, I think Genty has so much helium in his value in the community that you kind of just gotta.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, no, he's just like, so many people just are obsessed with him. Like he was the nailed on 101 this year. Like I'm sure there were some Dynasty drafts where he didn't go 101, but similar to what Bijan was 2 years ago, he was absolutely no question 101. And so that will stay with you. Like Bijan was very good as a rookie, but he wasn't like unbelievable. But he's never really lost his value, and obviously helped greatly by backing it up with an excellent year 2. But Genty will hold that value for quite a long time. So yeah, I think he's over Nico for me in that kind of conversation. But
that's fair.
I don't like to take huge running back swings in Dynasty. I kind of prefer to go the wide receiver route if it's a 1 quarterback, and if it's a super flex quarterback and wide receiver.
So let's talk QB. So let's say it's 1 QB Dynasty. Mm-hmm. Where's Jaden Daniels going? Is he a 1st round pick? Is he like 2nd? Yeah. Is he the first QB going? I think you had him 1, right?
I have him 3, I think.
Okay.
We talked about it. Actually, I had him 2, and then you like talked me into
Lamar.
You talked me into like, well, Lamar's like, what is Lamar? Why isn't Lamar about? And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right about Lamar. So that league that I started 3 months ago when we did the rookie draft or the startup draft, it started Allen, Jaden, Lamar.
Sorry, 1 in Superflex, right?
Yeah, Superflex. So Jaden was the 2nd pick. Not totally sure what that would look like in a rookie draft or in a startup for a one quarterback, like where that would go. I think a good example of what that looks like, though, is I'm in the one quarterback dynasty league I'm in. I think severely undervalues quarterbacks, but I like Cam Ward, who was probably like in a super flex league was around like the 1.5, 1.6.
Yeah, I thought about taking him too.
Yeah, and I think a totally legitimate conversation to have because I think the buzz on him is really good. And I think he's he's the first overall pick in the NFL draft, which carries some inherent value, even if he's not one of the stronger first overall picks we've had in a while. But so this one quarterback rookie draft I'm doing right now, Cam Ward went 2.9 to an auto drafter.
Whoa.
And he was going after like guys like Ollie Gordon went before Cam Ward, which is just insane to me. Like Ollie Gordon's the third running back on the Dolphins and went ahead of Cam Ward. And I think it's just purely kind of like a scarcity conversation. I think it's really hard to value quarterbacks in a league where everyone's got like a nice even sort of dispersal of the quarterbacks. I think everyone in this league is fairly balanced from a quarterback standpoint. And so I don't think there's anyone who has like a huge need. But Cam Ward is going to be way more valuable than the
Ollie
2.9 in that than Ollie Gordon. Exactly. But people are just preferring to take running back shots right now in that format because that's like the most valuable position when it's contributing.
Okay, so this is great. So because QBs can play forever. So in one QB league, a dynasty, like a full reboot, where is he go? Like, is he going ahead of Dak Prescott, who's 32?
Yeah, that's a good question. Where is Cam Ward in relation to? He is ahead of Dak Prescott. Let me see where I have him on here.
Because for redraft, I think he's like the QB 26 or like something like that.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, he's in the early 20s. Dak is definitely going ahead of him in redraft. Dak's like he's like they call it window QB. He's like right at the zone where you're like one of the last guys drafting a quarterback. That's around where Dak goes. Where Cam Ward's like QB2 in redraft. But I have Cam Ward 19 and Dak 20 on my rankings. I think consensus would have Cam Ward higher than Dak. I just think Dak's going to be a really productive quarterback for the next couple years because he's
like 35 touchdowns, 4,500 yards.
And people are kind of discounting him, I think, right now because of how he had the hamstring injury last year, and it kept him out, and he just was totally not productive last year. So I think there's a little bit of a dip on him.
Yeah, he lost a lot of weight too, which is probably normally scary, but Lamar did it last year, and he had the best year of his career. So maybe that's a little bit of a trend.
Yeah, it's hard to hate on a quarterback that gets to throw to CD Lamb and like a vengefully motivated George Pickens.
Hopefully, yeah. Then Blue's a good receiver. Jay Ferguson. Okay, let's go to tight end. So Kittle, I think Kittle's 31. Yeah. So where does that go? So Dynasty, who's going first, Tyler Warren or Kittle? Or
that's the perfect question for Dynasty. It really is. You nailed that. That's like the value conundrum. So obviously the top two tight ends in redraft are both in their early 20s. So they're the top two in Dynasty, McBride and Bowers. Laporta is kind of third, although I think that is potentially a fickle ranking depending on what he shows in year 3, because obviously he showed one of the best rookie seasons ever, the best at the time until Bowers eclipsed him last year. And last year was much more up and down and not the kind of thing people wanted to see. And then, I think it lines up really nicely. Kittle is the uber productive, underrated veteran versus Warren and Loveland, the two like really talented looking rookie tight ends. It's really is kind of like a preference thing. If I was trying to win, I would go for Kittle. Even if I was trying to win like kind of softly and not like aggressively, I think Kittle is going to absolutely smash this year. And so his value is gonna probably boost and then like stay the same heading into next year. So I would be for sure in on Kittle. Kittle's that offense that offense is really interesting for fantasy football this year. Obviously, that was one of the offenses I wrote up. They have the worst schedule in the league. They have like an 11 win over under as a result, and they have a wide receiver situation that nobody.
Well, they have the best schedule in the league. I mean,
right? Yes, I'm sorry. They have the teams they play are the worst.
Yeah,
they have the easiest schedule in the league.
I hate doing that. It's like strength of schedule.
Yeah.
32nd. Does that mean it's the 32nd easiest or hardest?
It's like when you say like a team is highly seeded when they're number one. It's like, well, they're technically lowly seeded because they're number one.
But moving up the draft board.
Yeah, exactly. But no, so Kittle's opportunity is wide open because that offense is going to be extremely productive. But nobody really knows what to do with their wide receiver situation because it's a bunch of guys like dealing with various different injuries, various different is Juwan Jennings like a for real like locked on contributor if he's healthy? Is Ricky Pearsall what he showed last year, or is he way better because he was recovering from literally getting shot? Or and then Ayuk is like a huge question mark because it doesn't look like he looks like he's gonna start the season on PUP and not play till week 6 at least. Yeah. And so then what happens with that? Because does Ayuk come back and be instantly productive, or probably more likely is it going to take him another bit of time to ramp up? And so all that says, I think Kittle's a smash, and I think I would take Kittle over the rookies, even though I like both of the rookies quite a lot.
Wow, at 31, okay, that's.
He's such a smash. Like he's so good, and he like doesn't even he's the most consistent touchdown scorer in the league too at the position, which I think can transcend a lot of
lack of volume
different formats. Like Bowers, obviously Bowers and McBride are like PPR monsters.
Yeah,
Kittle is just all around like knock down, drag out, amazing tight end. So
okay, last one, and then we're gonna wrap up. So it's the Tampa Bay wide receiver room, right? Let's talk about that. All right, you said you got Ibuka 10. So we got Mike Evans, who's the most consistent wide receiver almost in the history of fantasy football. Yeah. Chris Godwin was actually the wide receiver 2 in fantasy points per game before he got hurt. Yeah. Godwin's 29. I think Evans is 31. Yeah. So in Dynasty, like Ibuka and Jalen McMillan. So Ibuka's going way before them, obviously, right?
Yeah. So here's my list from a month ago. I have Ibuka 17. I have Evans 35.
Wow, Ibuka's 17.
And Godwin 48. And then Jalen McMillan, who I would move up a little bit. I have Jalen McMillan beyond Godwin, but I think I'd maybe move him above. I don't know. Like it's the real question is what's Godwin? Like what's Godwin's deal?
Well, it's a lot of injuries.
But like specifically with this injury, I'm very curious what it is because I think Ibuka's value was artificially suppressed by Godwin.
Yeah.
Everyone assuming that Godwin was going to be like ready to go for week 1. He might be ready to go for week 1, but it might be much more of like a protracted rollout. Like I'm not sure he's going to be ready to roll necessarily and like full strength by week 1. And I think everything that anyone says about Ibuka is like he's just really good. Like everyone agrees that he's just really good. And so I think the kind of sticker shock of, oh my God, he got drafted to a team that had 3 productive fantasy wide receivers at points last year has basically completely worn off. I think Evans is a really solid pick at like the 3-4 turn in redraft. But Ibuka is the dynasty smash. I would reach for Ibuka in redraft. I think he's like a value in starting in like the 7th round. And I know his ADP like in home leagues is somewhere in like the 8th or 9th, the 9th round. He's like he's kind of like suppressed down. But like if you look at best ball drafts right now, he's just been flying up, and it totally makes sense. I mean, he's just going to be he's going to be a smash. And McMillan is interesting now because I think most people assumed that Godwin, Evans are locked in, and everyone agrees that Ibuka is good. So McMillan was very much kind of the guy out in the cold. I almost would have said, even though he was obviously amazing and scored a bunch of touchdowns at the end of last year, I would say he would be like a drop candidate in Dynasty in May.
Oh, you would have said that after the
I
draft.
would have said that, but now I think he's sneaky interesting at the end of redrafts now.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely got some upside, especially if Godwin doesn't play for like 4 weeks.
You know which player was on the most rostered player on Yahoo championship teams?
Yeah, it was him.
Yeah, right. So like that just for me carries some weight. Right,
Yeah,
so.
no, for sure. But like, I think everyone was just kind of assuming like, okay, well, he wasn't actually that efficient. He just scored a bunch of touchdowns because he had opportunity, and now that opportunity is totally sapped, like it's gone. And now I don't think it is, and I think he's like sneaky interesting. Because I just like I'm really not sure about Chris Godwin. I would not want to have him in Dynasty right now because it could really just be it could be done if he's like not healthy enough. He's might have to like reset somewhere else, and he's almost 30, so I think that would be a really tough thing for him to do. In redraft, McMillan I think just became like slightly interesting, but I'm such an Egbuka guy. Like I'm gonna reaching like 7th round. You better take Egbuka because I'm taking him if you don't by then.
Okay, all right. Well, that's gonna do it for us. So anyone watching, make sure to go check out the draft guide. You can follow Patrick. You can never remember your Twitter.
It's Patrick KSL.
KSL. Okay, great. Yeah, so we got the draft guide. Check us out at Fantasy at Sport Ethos NFL. We got our Discord. We're doing tons of stuff. Patrick's all over Dynasty. Check out his rankings; they're great. We got a big mock draft coming next week, and that's it. Unless Patrick, you got any last tidbit? You got anything?
Yeah, draft Matthew Golden.
Okay, man. We didn't even talk about him. All right, we'll have to save him. All right, so we're out. So thanks, guys. Cheers.